Hello everybody and welcome back to Getting Wrecked, and today we're going to start a new Transport Fever playthrough, and this time it will be a free game as usual, but we will be in the United States of America. The only problem with that is that there will be a lot of deserts to build in, which is maybe not the most fun, but it should be okay. I will do world format 1-to-1, large, medium, terrain type, start year 1850, hard, and the seed, because this will be Merry Christmas if you want to play along, and just start like this. I bet there is a lot of interesting things on the Steam Workshop, but for now we should just stick with the guns, play the standard game type. And what I want to do with this playthrough is that I want to try to only make use of trains, and I want to go for this 60% coverage for commercial and maybe 60% coverage of industrial needs in a city. But most importantly, we will try to get the only trains achievement, so no trucks, no boats, no airplanes. Well, last time we didn't use airplanes nor boats, so it'll be kind of the same, but without buses and trucks, which will, I guess, make it a bit harder in the beginning and later on as well. But most importantly, it will make it hard in the beginning, because if you didn't watch my last playthrough on hard, the thing is, in the 1850s it's really hard to make money, at least with the trains. So what I usually want to do is that I want to have, for example, I want to have some place where I can use trucks to go from, for example, go from a quarry to a brick shop down to a city and go around like that, so it doesn't, in order to make sure that the horse wagons or the trucks are not empty on any of these legs. So one leg up full, one leg full, and then an empty leg. The empty leg needs to be as short as possible, and that's all well and good if you have trucks, because you don't have to spend any money building stuff. You can just use the roads that are already in place, and that's about it. But this time, last time I didn't borrow any money, but this time we can borrow money. Hooray! So we can actually maybe get a train up and running in the beginning, but it's still the same problem, that I need to find a place where I have a raw material close to a city, and I have a production facility close by, so I could go oil, fuel down to the city and then empty to the oil well. So it's a short empty leg like that. I guess you could go with passenger services, but since I'm not going to use trucks, I will have a hard time to cover a city with just trains, at least in the beginning. Maybe later on you can have short rail buses in one city. Maybe that will work, but I don't think it will make you any money really. So it's important that we get a really strong line in the beginning. So what I'm looking for right now is I'm looking for farms. I need a farm that's close to a city. The problem with farms is that they have these fields in the way. But for example, this farm is pretty close to Augusta. So if we had any food processing plant, we have food processing plant over there. It's a bit too hilly, but we could have a goods wagon go up here with livestock and then bringing food to Augusta and go empty this short distance. Or we could go with like some kind of oil well. So we could bring oil, turn it into fuel somewhere, turn it into fuel and then bring the fuel to a city, then go empty to the oil well. And that's kind of the only ways we can do this, because sure, you could say that, well, we have we could go for a quarry, but the problem with quarries is that sure, you can use a quarry to go to a brick or construction materials plant and then bring the bricks to a city, but stone and bricks, they have different wagons for your trains, so you can't use the same wagons. And in the beginning, it's really, the cost will be your wagons. You have a really cheap ass locomotive, but you will still have a pretty pricey wagons. This would be a nice setup if it wasn't because of this hill. I think we will go with oil. Have oil, but no city. Have oil. This is pretty good. We have oil, we have fuel, we have a city. And it's really, really flat here. Yeah, that's something. So that's Colorado Springs. Let's see if there is another place. Not really. It's always like you have a food processing plant, but then you have no freaking farm anywhere close. No farm here, no farm here. Let's just go with this. So, a couple of things to note is that when you start in 1850, your trains will be really, really bad. I'm not sure if I can actually make money from the first train I will build, but I will use my first train to get some kind of need going. So I will have a station down here, a station up there, and then I need to drop it off in Colorado. How nice of them to place the industrial on this side. We could just cover most of this with a station like this. One thing to note is that in the beginning, property maintenance is actually a big deal. Later on it's not really a big deal, and train stations cost much more than your truck stops. I think the cost is depending about the number of tracks. It doesn't care about the platform length, it's only number of tracks. Not sure about the second street connection, if that costs you anything extra. But I think for one track it's like is it 14,000 each year? I think it's 14,000 each year, and then an additional 4,000 for each track. I think that's it. The platform length doesn't really make a difference, it's just if you want to try to keep it realistic in some way. The cost doesn't really increase that much either, as long as you don't need to make a change in the terrain. Let's actually place this one first. So we want to go up there, but we want to kind of avoid that little hill, I guess. Go like this. go like that. Well, our whole Imperium is kind of leaning on this, on the success of our first line. So you're in range, we will connect here, we will go around. Sorry about that. Someone is messing me. Alright, so if we place it on this side, we will need to cross the road. If we place it on this side, we are almost out of range for the coverage. Let's place it something like this. It should give us enough room to cross the street. Like that. And it's really important that you have a section that's as flat as possible. I still want it to be cheap though. So I mean, I will make it smaller chunks than this, I think. How important is it to keep it flat? It might be overkill to do like this, but making a not sure about this hill we make all the way here. The first trains are really weak. And this amount of money, it's only one wagon. Or well, 1.5 wagon. I'm not sure how much it will cost us if we make this manually. Or even shorter chunks. Screw it, let's do it like that. There's something I've learned from this game is that tracks usually pay for themselves. But I do feel like this is a bit pricey. Let's try the shorter chunks here. So only here we had to spend some money. Yeah. Alright, so like I said, we have to pay upkeep for our stations, but it doesn't cost upkeep to have a depot. Which I thought it would do, but so let's start borrowing some money. Two of these, go around like that, fully load, and this is Colorado, oil and fuel, and I like to make fuel red. And he's off. So as you can see, the first train is really cheap. It's cheaper than the wagons. Now this train will most likely not make any money at all. if I want to make money from this train, I will need at least 6 wagons, I think. Will kind of make it. So if I bring 6 wagons on this guy, he might start to make money, but we still have the property maintenance for 3 stations, and we have to pay our rent as well, our interest. Come on. Should we wait for a full train? Ah, we can do it. Should be alright. So we will get a new train, 1858 I think. That's much better than this one. We will get the general. So I think that's my plan, is to use this train for 8 years. I will upgrade it until it have like maybe 6 carts. Upgrade it until it has 6 carts, and then just wait for next train. But let's make sure that he's actually able to keep up with the speed here. Since we spent so much money making the train track really flat, I hope it's going to pay for itself. I should kind of flatten this. Should be fine. But this hump would have actually most likely slow the train down, so doesn't look like much, but man, these early trains, yeah. Now we will start losing money here. Have to pay our interest. So it actually went full speed all the time. So that will be what I will be looking for when we can, when we have to stop giving him more wagons. And it's important to note that is it upwards back to going back? Slow and steady he reached the maximum speed. But it's important to note that since these trains are so cheap, the carts have a higher running cost than the trains themselves. So, okay, the train or the locomotive. So later in the game you will spend more of a percentage on your locomotive than on your wagons. But in the beginning here, the wagons are really expensive and the trains are cheap, which means that you will get a really good bang for the buck if you spend money upgrading your locomotive. Since even if I double the cost for my, or upkeep for my locomotive, that will not be a huge deal if I compare it with each wagon. So that's why I want to upgrade the train as soon as possible. We could argue for having multiple locomotives on this guy. Let's wait for the next month before buying any more. Not sure if we actually save money that way, but maybe. Get a couple more. And we keep watch on the speed. But like I said, if we get like six wagons, it should start to make money. At least when we start to get fuel up here. problem is that all these refineries will start producing oil first. So we'll have to build or produce like, I think it's like 20 or 30 oil before you start producing fuel. Okay, I mean it's catching up to maximum speed quite early, so I'm happy with that. One problem with this city is that it's kind of close to the border of the world, or the end of the world. Maybe not, maybe, I mean this is kind of the middle, so it's not too bad. If I want to have it as my hub city in the beginning, And also, one thing we could do is that we could double track this, but I think I will just keep going with only one train. I will just upgrade this train and make sure it's as good as possible. I'm thinking what I could use this railway to more than just this fuel line, since we don't have enough. We don't have a lot of money in the beginning. And since all the money we have is borrowed money, we need to make sure that everything we spend pays back quite a lot, so we can pay for the interest as well. So even if the train track itself doesn't cost upkeep, it costs upkeep in a way, since we have built it for the bank's money. So now we have fuel waiting there. So it's like right now we're actually paying at least interest for this railway track. So if we could connect it to like stone and bricks here, or we could connect stone down here with bricks up there. But like I said, we have the problem with the fact that stone and bricks are different types of wagons, so it will not really help us a whole lot. We could connect Chattanooga with Colorado Springs. In that case we have half the railway already in place. That's actually something I would kind of like to do. So now we got 6 wagons, I think. Looks like 6. Which I usually find is the limit for the first train, but like I said, we have spent a lot of money to make this train track as flat as possible, so maybe we can fit more wagons on this. I mean, he's still making decent speed here. Okay, slow down a little bit. Slowing bit down on this, in this hill, like you can see here. Well, actually it's a hump over there, so maybe it's not that strange. If we can keep maximum speed on this whole section, we are kind of golden. Yeah, the money will start rolling in when we get the fuel here. So let's check out these achievements. So last time we did where is it? Alright, these are the ones I want to do this time around. Providing 60% coverage for industry and commercials in the city. I also want to do train fever. Reach the year 2000 using only trains. That's the important part. Penny pincher I did last time, so that's why we can take additional loans this time around. Alright. Yeah. Yeah. Seems to be a bit slow in this area. But I think I could maybe give him one more wagon, but I mean he has used all this, he hasn't even reached maximum speed in half this leg, which is pretty bad. Pretty bad. So I mean, sure I could get one more tank car, but if this tank car makes it so my train gets a little bit slower, I mean this would be additional 1/6 loading wise, but if it slows down the train by just a couple of percentages, it will not really be worth it. If I increase the capacity with like, what's that, like 18%, but I slow it down with, let's say 5%, then I'm not really making any money. That's my thought process for not upgrading this train just yet. I'm just happy with it providing some income. Well, it doesn't really provide us with income, but when it has fuel and oil, it will try to break even, which is the best you can hope for. We could, however, have 2 locomotives on the train. That's a possibility. I'm not sure. But the next train will be a bit faster as well. So yeah, I think we just wait for the next one, and like I said, it will be in 1858 from what I remember. So I think I will just fast forward until we are at that point where we can actually upgrade this yoker. So I will see you then. Alright, I just want to show you this. So now we got a bit lucky with providing, I guess, 2 runs in 1 year maybe. But as you can see, we are starting to make a decent amount of money from this train, because it's bringing fuel as well as oil back and forth. So it's really useful, but like I said, we are in a bit of a problem, because even if we are making money, it will have to pay for our loan interest, it will have to pay for 3 of our stations here, so that's like 100k extra that it will have to pay, and it will also have to pay for itself when we, I mean, these first trains only have 30 years of lifespan, so they will cost quite a lot in upkeep pretty soon. So the upkeep will keep on increasing all the time pretty quickly because of the short lifespan. And that's also why I have a hard time getting passenger services to work very good, because they have even shorter lifespan on the passenger card, 25 years. These wagons at least have 40 years. So that's one issue with passenger carts. The good part is that they have a much higher capacity, I guess. But like I said, we will have a hard time using passenger carts because of we can't use buses. So if I want to use passenger trains, I need to have a station in the middle of the city, more or less. But anyways, I will see you again in 2 additional years. Right, so we are getting close to the next year. And as you can see, we are still making money from this good old train. The frequency is not really 14 minutes, so it's a bit lower than 12 minutes, that's once a year. So we will use the 441 or 440 general. I actually went and looked up what the naming convention is for these trains. Maybe that's something everyone knows, but 440, that means that there are 4 wheels in the front, 4 wheels in the middle, and then 0 wheels, 4 trailing wheels. So as you can see, there are 2 sets of really small wheels here, so that's 4 small wheels. Then we have 4 wheels in the middle, or driving wheels, and then we have 0 wheels behind. So the more you know, kids, the more you know. I thought that was pretty interesting. So let's get you upgraded. So you'll be spending a lot of money here on this train. I have a lot of oil waiting here, and the reason why I'm not really expanding too much here, like you could argue for, well, these guys are building a lot of oil, but you need to remember that you only have this capacity. This is the limit for this line. We can't produce more fuel than the city actually wants. So 85 fuel each year. And this train is almost, well, let's borrow some money, buy the general, buy a load tank cars. So as you can see, the frequency here, oh, it actually calculates it directly like that. That's pretty sweet. Anyways, the frequency of 30 minutes, this is like we almost makes it twice or once a year. One year is a little bit more than 12 minutes in this game, which means that this capacity we have here, 63, we will kind of bring 63 fuel each year with this frequency with one train. And they can take 85, so we should almost have, we should expand on this train until we have 85 fuel capacity on it, more or less. And when we are done with that, well, that's kind of, yeah, after that we need to find something else to build, really. But that will have to wait until the next episode. I know that it is a pretty slow start. Nice color on these. But I mean, this is how you have to start this game, I think, at least on hard. Since you need to provide, you can't have a train run empty. That's a big no-no. Even this leg here is a little bit too long for having it go empty. But I think it's because we made it so flat, it's alright. But that's something to keep in mind. And also try to expand pretty slowly, because now we will provide more oil up here, but it will take some time before these guys actually provide fuel that will fill this whole train. We will only have like half the fuel here, so half the train full with fuel. But it will get better and better. But anyways, this has been the first episode of my Train Fever achievement. I think it's called Train Fever, yeah. Reach the year 2000 using only trains. It will be interesting. But trains are really effective at making money. It's just that it will be interesting when we have short distance transportation, how we deal with that without using trucks. That will be interesting. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you again next time. Goodbye!